something we all understand, the revolution will be televised.
Yes, today, as we start to show this one mic. Yes, today, as we start to show this one mic.
Chi-Town Hammers. Chi-Town Hammers. People have slept on. I only get political here about Will.
He's playing the game. That's all it is. Go hard for it. Look at his business.
Yes, today, as we start to show this one mic.
Yes, today, as we start this show, this one mic, just tinkering a little interview. I had to bring a couple voices into the intro a little bit. We're tinkering. We're going to refine it, but I need to, make sure my guys who we're going to talk to right here and bring it to the mic, we had to bring their voice to the intro. We had to do something. So just tweaking it. We're going to keep working on it, refining it. But let me bring my guys to the stage. We're going to bring the man from Chi-Town Hammer. We're going to bring him into the mix. How you doing, brother? Oh, is your mic on?
I'm doing well, man. Oh, you want me to? Yeah, I'm frozen. Yeah, you frozen. Technology. Oh. Yeah, you hear me now?
I got you.
No, great Badger game. Yeah. Great Badger game last night against Purdue. There was no secret. Treylon Williams' grandmother is a family friend, but I'm a Badger, man. So so bottom line is that was a great victory, man. Good guard, tremendous coaching job, except for the Michigan game. That's the only thing I give him an L on that, but tremendous game, man. I mean, just some great talent, Jaden Ivey and Brand Davison and Johnny Davis put in overdrive, and Taylor. They're just that team is just tremendous team this year. Really, just a great coaching job by guard and coaching job by Painter. Painter has a really good team as well. They're gonna make a nice run, I think. I don't know how the Badgers will do. It depends on, I think, matchups with them. But yeah, so.
Yeah, Painter's on my can't trust it list, man. He always got these great teams. I don't know where they're gonna go. Cost people a lot of money. But it was a great game. Everybody was blowing up my phone. I was running some errands. I had to go do something. Had to get down to O'Hare. I had all kinds of stuff going. And everybody, my brother called me talking about, you at the game? I'm like, nah, I got other things to do. So I wasn't even watching the game till the last 5 minutes. And it was almost like that's all you needed to see. And that boy, Johnny Davis did his thing.
Balling.
And that bank off of it.
Yeah, Chucky had burned with the ball.
And then Chucky did his best rendition of, you old schools know this, Mike McGee from off the glass. He went off the glass on him. That's going to be one of them iconic ones as well. So it was some balling going on there. And they pulled it out, got to share the Big Ten title. So what's up, Youngin? How you doing today?
Man, I'm great. I'm just going to cut to the chase. Ja Morant might be my MVP. He made me mad the other day. He made me mad the other day because I was going to text the group chat. That morning I was going to text the group chat. I was like, am I crazy for thinking that Ja Morant is the MVP? And then that night he dropped, and I didn't post it in the group chat. And then that night he dropped 52. I'm like, man, I should have just went ahead and said it because I already knew Ja Morant's been playing so well. So I already knew it wasn't crazy me saying that he was MVP. No, I just thought better not posting it, but I should have said it because, man, this dude went out and dropped 52. He dunking from outside the lane. He don't even have to be in the lane to dunk on folks. I'm like, man, this dude is doing some ridiculous stuff, and it has to be noticed.
Well, we definitely going in a few minutes get into talking about these youngin in the game, and he is certainly the Marlo Stansfield of the league. He ain't waiting his turn. He taking his corners, and all these other G's. As Slim Charles said, the game don't change. And everybody found that out locally, so it's been good. Well, welcome to One Mic. this is one of our podcasts on the RSG platform. Please go to realsportsguys.com and check out our stuff. Like it. Give us 5, as Bomani Jones would say. If you give us 4, that means you hating. You hating. Stop hating on us. Give us some love. We the underground. Welcome to it. We want to thank our sponsors who've been with us, Bowman Medical Group and Mind Match Development. Thank y'all for supporting us here. Starting out with the Maui Invitational, and they connected with us all the way through the RSG Tourney Challenge, which the challenge, the champ over here is Hampton, who kept us alive. He held the fort down. It was the last line of defense, as which might be the right thing to say because of what we're going to talk about today. As he was holding it for RSG while the rest of us fell off with the folks trying to challenge us for those top spots.
Thank Loyola and thank Illinois for choking. Like Brad Underwood and Paul Mosier, 2 different coaches. That's all I gotta say.
So we'll be rolling out. We're rolling out of here again. We gotta get Hampton's championship belt so he can display it as we kick it off, and that's in the works right now. So we gonna
That's my belt.
That's his belt.
That's my belt.
We gonna get it. We gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. So one thing we didn't have on the rundown, but Hampton, and then we'll jump in. And I want to thank Darnell, who putting on his producer hat and help us with the rundown here. So we're going to get us some real good stuff that he's got us going, and we'll be bringing his voice in to help us move this stuff along. Some really good topics we'll get to. But one thing as I was coming back and listening to Bomani Jones' great podcast and talking about baseball, man. And so since we got here, what is going on with the labor talks? What are some of the issues that are really the issues that are really knocking us off, the opening day here that's already been canceled?
Well, minimum salary, the fact that players are minimum salary, free agency. I think the bottom line is that the owners are BSing right now. They're going to lose. They're going to take short-term hurt for long-term gain. And so they're going to see if they really can break this union. Because this was supposed to be the most powerful union. There was a dying fear, but and the players aren't backing down, and players hope they save their money up. So, the main thing about it, there's also cuts of revenue, but the bottom line is that they're gonna have to do something. You're losing games. You're losing again. You're losing. You're looking again inept, and you're losing. Pitch clock counts. Also, that's part of it as well. The bottom line is that they're not putting a product that's going to really get the Gen X's, Gen Z's, and millennials. And someone like Darnell, I bet you he don't watch any baseball.
I haven't watched baseball consistently since Steven Strasburg got hurt the first time.
And that's sad.
You know how long ago that was?
That's a long time ago. He hurt himself. These young people, they don't understand the majesty of baseball, and all they see is basically people arguing over money, and you can't name a single player. I used to be able to name players on all the teams. I can't name the players now. And also, we keep it real on our Real Sports Guys, and One Mic. I'll keep it real too. I think there's a lot of resentment of these Latinx, Hispanic players making all this money. And just give real talk. So a lot of them speak English. They're starting to lose people culturally, so it's a mess right now. I was watching, moving back to the crib, moving back home. I got Marquee. I can't watch my Cubbies now. It's unbelievable. I'm watching Cole Wright and Jim DeShays talking about labor negotiations and about seeing prospects, and so it's a shame, and also too bad Hank's not on here. But I'd love to hear what Hank has to say. But again, it's just. I bet you they're gonna cut a deal, but how many people gonna get hurt? That's the bottom line. And I hope, like I said, these cats aren't on broke 2 or broke 3 with ESPN and their money's right. So
it was interesting is one of the points that Bomani was making, and they were talking, and that's I keep remembering his name. He's also the brother who does baseball, Howard.
Ryan Howard.
It's first name is Howard, last name He's a writer.
Oh yeah, the brother. Yeah,
Really
yeah.
good, really good
Yeah,
writer.
yeah. Howard, I forgot the brother name.
And
He's on the
one of the
sports
things,
reporters. Yeah.
Bamani's got like 2 economics degrees,
Yeah.
so he's bringing stuff in. But what's interesting, he said there's parallels between what's happening in baseball and what we're seeing in the greater labor market, in the way that no more than ever before, that the people at the
Howard
top are
Bryant. That's
making
what it
more
was. Howard
money, but they're squeezing the middle class in middle
Bryant.
management, right? So and it's compounded in baseball by the way in which some of these new owners are using analytics and data. So, like, they got the 6th year until you become a free agent, but the way they're delaying when these folks coming up, they're putting them in on a 7-year, and so they never really have
Yeah,
to
like
give
Chris
them
Bryant.
the second contract.
Like Chris
Huh?
Bryant, yeah. Like
I
Chris
mean,
Bryant. You know what they did with him? They
yeah.
basically they signed him for a month in the minor league so they
Yep.
could, because you have to play a full year, you have to be on the roster starting a year to get that full year. So they sat him down, and that's one reason why he's not covered anymore. It was foul because he was the best player in spring training. They sat him down so we could have him for another year, but hey, they won a title, so I can't hate it.
But yeah, I mean, so it's in baseball players, and one of the things about the racial context is because baseball players have many more white players who have this framework about being able to get what they get, so they hold the line in ways that haven't been held in some of the other sports. It's interesting dynamic of their expectations. Whereas, and part of the worry was even some of the Latin players coming in, not really getting involved in what is perceived as this politics of America versus what I need to make for me to do what I need to do. And so it sounds like Tony Clark did a lot of education and kind of building that coalition. And now the owners are paying the price. But the owners, they said, have been, like, the revenue has been going up. They've been getting a higher share of it, but the labor costs have been going down. So it's going to be an interesting thing in seeing again how these owners, because they all live in the same club, right? NFL owners, NBA owners, like, these cats are all coming from they in these same circles, and the way in which folks might be how some of these strategies might affect what happens in other sports, because baseball union is the strongest union. So if you can break that union, you can break a lot of unions, right? And so, so that's interesting. I want to bring that up, but we
Howard Bryant was the guy about Howard Bryant.
Yeah, Howard Bryant. Yeah, he's an excellent writer.
Yeah.
Excellent. I mean, it was a great piece, very deep intellectually. I felt like I needed to, read some journal articles by the time I got done with that podcast. So let's kick it off. The Youngin kind of got us going. The NBA, like we said, if you're a Wire fan and you had a chance to watch Marlo Stansfield enter the series, he was a youngin who was trying to wait his turn. He gonna take his blocks. Avon Barksdale was in jail. Them corners was open, and I remember walking across the street talking to Bodie, and just let Bodie know that he had a little bit of time before he had to move off that corner. There wasn't no pecking order. He was just gonna take it. I remember him when he had he was about to shoot your one boy. I'm trying to get my Prop Joe, and Prop Joe said, "I try to treat you like a son," and he basically said, "That was not what I'm trying to do." Right? Ja Morant is like that. Ja Morant is coming out as the Marlo Stansfield of the NBA. He is taking his corners. He ain't waiting no turns. He went in. He came to the United Center and said, "I'm taking these streets." He came in there like your boy Tommy on the new series of Power, Force. He said, "I'm trying to take these corners," and DeMar was going to try and do something, but ultimately, Youngin made the splash he needed to make. And so the question here is, a lot of these youngins, Scotty Barnes, I saw the other night, doing his thing. He not waiting his turn. He don't care. There's a lot of kids. You got Luka, who's already telling you he's the Don. He already trying to flex. He got to get in shape. So the question here is, who would you take? Let's take Ja off the table. I don't even think we should have Ja in this comment. Because let's take Ja off
No,
the table
Ja is
right
in the
now.
cut. Ja,
Huh?
Ja got to be in the. He got to be
You
in the
can't.
top. If
Who
Luka
you
in
gonna
the,
argue with? Because Ja gonna be the answer. So let's
if
take Ja off. Let's why huh? Like who you gonna say other than Ja?
nobody, but still,
So let's take him off. Let's
you
put Ja
still
on
got
the
Luka
side.
in there.
Huh?
You still got Luka in there. You got
Yeah, but Luka ain't doing that Ja work.
No, man.
shoot. Did you?
Y'all playing defense too.
Do we get? Do we have amnesia? Do we remember what happened in the playoffs last year?
Look,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I understand that. Who do you fear?
Both.
Nah.
I fear
You
John
don't fear
Morant.
Luka?
Not like John Morant. You saw it dunk on Poole. Man, I was like, I had to rewind that several times. That was so bad. I had to rewind. So I was like, I looked at it, I was stunned. I had to rewind. I rewind about 10 times. Real talk. And I'm like, damn, he came out of nowhere. And dunked on dude.
I think Luka had 40 every single game against the Clippers.
Man, he didn't have no catch and shoot. First of all, the pass by Steven Adams was amazing. First of all, I mean, he's the show. But then the catch and shoot, I'm like, this
doesn't make any sense.
Same half in about what 5 minutes span? Nah, man, you gotta take my conversation. There's nobody that's on the level of Ja right now. I mean, the one thing I always like to bring, and people talk about this, his style of play does concern you about injury. I mean, I ain't trying to get the brother hurt or like that, but there's gonna be times where he's gonna have to take it down a little bit. I mean, being the D Rose fan, I'm not trying to compare him to D Rose. He's playing better than D Rose is playing right now, no question. But there are similarities as far as he needs to protect himself, protect the body. He hits the floor a little too much.
D Rose, I'll say something about D Rose. D Rose played in a different era. Like D Rose, there are certain times out there that he put the Bulls. They had a great team for that era, but looking in hindsight, there were times on the court where he played with Joakim Noah, Carlos Boozer, and Ronnie Brewer. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't have the same kind of floor spacing that they do now. Like if you had Derrick Rose, MVP Derrick Rose playing with shooters all over the court, and and there was only one guy that really can't hit a three, but he's a big that does all the dirty work, but he has shooters everywhere. Man, that D Rose averaged 30 in this league. Like the prime D Rose, like
maybe like I said, but bottom line, I'm talking about the body broke down. So one thing that people are concerned about, I mean, Ja is bigger. Well, he's 6'4", right? He's 6'3".
He's not bigger. He's not bigger than D Rose.
Oh, okay. Well, then there's concerns. There's concerns about the fact that
6'2".
Is his game fit for his body type, and so that's one thing that people worry about. And I'm not trying to get the dude hurt. Trust me. I mean, I was saying
if we're just looking at builds, like Derrick Rose, if you just look at both of them, like Derrick Rose in his prime and John now, you would say Derrick Rose he was built a little more sturdier.
But my understanding, at least reading some stuff, and I did some homework, is that Ja's got a much better conditioning plan, much better condition than D Rose was in his prime. So that's my understanding.
Yeah, and I also think his jump shot and his confidence in his outside game allows him to not have to attack all the time. He's got other pieces to go to, whereas Derek hadn't quite until he got injured developed his outside game. Whereas Ja's got a decent outside game, pull up game, shoot game, so he doesn't have to depend on attacking all the time. Whereas if Derek was going to score, he had to attack all the time. And I think that's why Ja gets some of these spectacular plays, because you still got to respect the other parts of his game, which he throws you off balance on in a way. So I think, and this is early in his career, and that's only going to get better, right? So now you're going to be at his will because he's getting confidence in his jump shot. It's improving. It's in a good part of his game. So he's throwing you off balance. Now he gets you with that peekaboo dunk, and that's it. So all right. So you got John there, but what about Scotty Barnes? Now talk to me, Youngin. we talked about him, and he got
So
that. I'm taking my corners look as
I got
well.
well when I watch Scotty Barnes. This is gonna sound crazy, but I said this before he got drafted. I said this watching his college game. Every time I watch an old game of Michael no. Every time I watch old game of Magic Johnson, it's their movement patterns. Like it's crazy. Like they move exactly the same. Like when we go back and talk about the old time players, Carl always say, "Oh, Magic, he couldn't play. He didn't play no defense. He couldn't play no defense at all." And like I'm just thinking, like if Magic played today, like I feel like he'll be a much better defender because the type of role he would play would be completely different. Like he would be more of like that Draymond type role. But then like as far as Scotty Barnes, like he has that and he's more explosive. Like he's faster, he's more explosive than Draymond. Like his defensive potential is ridiculous.
Long arms.
He plays with a motor.
Wingspan.
And this is why Nick Nurse is my favorite coach in the NBA. Like he coaches game one just like it's the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like watching the game against Brooklyn, where he at halftime he was 10 for 10 from the field. Like this dude was going absolutely crazy. But they were trapping and pressing, doing all that kind of stuff from the opening tap. And the first play of the game, but still dunk. Like he has that kind of motor, and this is going to be interesting to see what he can develop into. Like if Scotty Barnes could ever develop like an off the dribble jumper, like if he can be like if he can add to that side of his game and be more of a shot creator. Because he's already a willing passer, accurate passer. He even played some point guard at Florida State. If he can add the shot creation part to his total package, he could be right up there with with the best players in the whole entire league. Because there's like you have Ja Morant, but man, I think Scotty could be right up there. But there's other names we haven't brought up yet. You got Evan Mobley. This guy, he's the second coming of Kevin Garnett.
Jalen Johnson.
You have Luka Doncic. You have Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is coming. He's here.
Yeah, he's here. Yeah.
You got
Jalen Johnson.
Yellow Ball.
He's a good player.
Yep,
he's leading the bleeding blocks, and he's got a great outside shot. And he's a really good player.
You said Evan Mobley or
no, Jalen Jackson. Jalen Jackson.
Jaron Jackson, right?
Jaron Jackson, excuse me.
Yeah, from Memphis. Yeah.
I was saying, he's one that you got to watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed. I watched watching the Pistons the other day. I like that young core they got going. They play hard every night, but I think a lot of that has been with Cade getting really comfortable in the way he's getting people into the flow of the game, and people getting comfortable with their spots. But yeah, he taking his. He's perfect for Detroit as well. But yeah, Mobley's something else.
So where does Trae Young fit into this?
I mean, he's an elite player. He's an all-star. But, again, I don't know. I'm not crazy about his game. He just throws up stuff. I mean, he's a circus act as far as shooting and stuff like that. He's a really good passer. I mean, I'm not crazy about him defensively. But, yeah, I mean, Trae's a really good player. I mean, yeah. So.
Do you put Devin Booker out of this group? Do you put Jamal Murray out of this group, more established, and kind of moving them in? Where do you put them?
Well, Jamal's suspect right now. Jamal ain't played.
Devin Booker's 25. So, yeah, me and Devin Booker came out of high school the same year. So, he's 25. So, he's in this group. I said 25 and under. So, Booker's in this group. So, he's so
out of all of them, I got to give Book. Book done hit 70. Like, Book is a stone cold G. If you're going to put it like that.
Would you take Book over John?
I might take Book over John. Book is a stone cold. Book done been in the big games.
He's been in the big games, but he got more.
John still got to go into that space, and I love John. But if we add, I was putting Book into a little other, but if we add Book into this group, I'm taking Book.
No, I'm taking John.
And how old is
he playing defense? Hammer.
How old is Donovan Mitchell?
You got. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Where you put that Donovan
he's
Mitchell? Do you
24,
put the because Donovan is in this group?
Yeah.
You got so
Donovan's
many. There's so many guys. Yeah, he's 25 too.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell's 25. You got so
Yeah,
like I said in the rundown, the league is in good hands.
Yeah.
We can pick our guy, whoever we pick to lead our franchise, but you know what? One thing I can say is the league is in good hands. I remember like 4 or 5 years ago, everybody was saying, "Oh, what's going to happen when LeBron retires? Like when LeBron finally he gets old and stuff. Who's going to be the new face of the league? We don't have to worry about that. We got this year is I think this is an amazing year for basketball because there's not one team that you can just look at and be like, oh, this is the unquestioned front runner. You know what I'm saying? You have teams like the Bucks that can win a championship. You can have a team like the Sixers that can win a championship. You got a team like Brooklyn that can win a championship. You got a team like Phoenix that can win a championship. You got Golden State waiting in there. You have so many teams in there that legitimately. What happens with Denver when Jamal Murray comes back? Like if Jamal Murray can come back and hit his stride, you're gonna have to worry about them. What happens if Ja Morant has this otherworldly type of playoff run? Well, you got to deal with that. Like we have such a deep field. Like I feel like you have a good 8 to 10 teams that can really put fear in your heart in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think especially with some of the key injuries to players in the way some of these other teams haven't got continuity, all the stuff that's been happening in Brooklyn and Golden State having some injuries and obviously the Lakers stuff not working out and Anthony Davis is in the witness protection program. That even adds a whole nother level. Chris Paul, so like the opportunity continuity of some of these teams that if they could have got their starters and the lineups together, might have squelched some of this. But when you add those stories on top of these things, yeah, it's gonna make it for exciting playoffs. Because a lot of these traditional teams that you thought could really pull it together, by the time they get strong, they don't have that much time to actually get to continuity. Ben Simmons comes back. There's not gonna be that many games before you get in the
Miami's
playoffs.
Miami.
I forgot to say Miami, but
definitely Miami.
Think about
Heroes off the bench having a phenomenal year. I mean, they blew out the Bulls without Kyle Lowry the other night. They got a nice deep team. No, Miami's my team right now. Miami plays both sides. Well, they're my Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero off the bench.
Man, I think all this stuff in the East is cool until Giannis wake up in the playoffs. All that other stuff.
No, but Giannis missed Brooke. They missed Brooke.
But
they missed Brooke.
He got that.
He can miss Brooke Lopez, but with Brooke Lopez being out, Giannis can take his rightful place. Like I've been saying for the last 3-4 years, Giannis is a 5. Like we do this thing now. Everybody's talking about positionless basketball, but we let skills take away what people. You know what I'm saying? Giannis is a big man. Like let him.
He's a 4. He's a 4. He's not a 5. You don't want to play in the 5. You're 1 now.
In today's NBA, Giannis is
a 4. And maybe even
Giannis is a 1 through 5. Giannis is a 1 through 5. But
the whole idea about basketball.
Look at the different matchups that we can get.
There's certain things you got to execute in a team, and then certain people are taking those roles that have to happen. Now, the person who delivers them can come in many different packages, but you ain't gonna win if you don't have that role being filled. And so this whole notion of positionless basketball is really false because you have to execute certain things on a basketball team. You have to have somebody who helps you get set up and into the right play and distributes. You got to have it. Now, that could be somebody like Giannis who's got all the wingspan, or that could be Chris Paul, but you got to have it. You got to have somebody who's helping you clean the glass and get out and has a defensive presence and help you. Like there's certain things you need on a basketball team. Who ends up doing it? It comes in different packages, but it gets fulfilled in different things. So you got to have those things. And Giannis the thing about him is he can play multiple roles based on what you need. right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about that, that's the piece we're talking about. Whether you call him a 4, 5, whether you call him a 6, it don't matter, but he gonna fill those key roles.
When I say he's a 5, I'm saying he is the main rim protector. He can rebound. He dominates the paint on the offensive end. Like that's a big. Like he's a big man. But then one thing I wanted to say is like just think of the different matchups that we could get this year in the playoffs. Like, can you imagine like a Ja Morant versus Donovan Mitchell playoffs for 6 or 7 games? It's like 6 or 7 of them just butting heads. If Jamal Murray comes back, like I'm gonna keep saying this, but if you give Jokic just a little more firepower on his team, like they're gonna be tough to stop. They're gonna be real tough to stop. And then if we my dream finals is Jokic versus Embiid. But if we could get that, and then you have countless different matchups in the East. You know, you have the Sixers and the Nets that everybody's been talking about. You know, when Ben Simmons finally has to go back to Philly, just to see what the crowd's gonna do. And you got the youngins in there in Cleveland. Can they make some noise? Like you have so many different angles and different storylines that are gonna play out here.
Well, we're gonna keep an eye on these youngins. You know, they obviously are not waiting they turn in line. Like I said, we might have to put together a list, call it the All-Marlo Stansfield Team. These youngins who just taking their blocks. That might be have to come back with our All-Marlo Stansfield Team.
Yeah, legally.
We taking the product. and Ja is definitely at the head of that list, but there's some other G's in there who going to take that. All right, we got the NFL Combine going on. And so, you know, this is where my colleagues are going to help me. Well, we're going to start with you, Youngin, to set the table. You know, I think one of the things that you talked about is just you were wondering around the issue around whether or not people were skipping, how people are now with the Combine. They're putting up a serious kind of security setup, right, with the Combine in terms of how people were there and in the bubble. Can you explain that to maybe some of the listeners who haven't been tracking this?
Like, I guess this year in the Combine, they're doing a bubble, right? So like, Duke Manyweather, he's been on this. He's the offensive line guru. He trains all the guys. Like he's training Trevor Penning, Charles Cross, Evan Neal, all the guys, and he's been talking about how the certain rules and regulations are gonna disincentivize people from going there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know quarterbacks in past combines, some of them they don't throw, and then they just throw at their pro day because it's an environment that's scripted to them, and you getting more guys, like Matt Corral, etc. They're not gonna.
Teddy Bridgewater did that to his detriment, though. So
yeah, and that was something I was looking at because I've seen that I think they said Evan Neal's not he's not at the combine with that, or he's not because I thought he was a guy. He's a guy that's like, I thought he would blow the combine out the water. Like I know Derek Stingley's not running at the combine, he's not doing anything at the combine as well. And I'm like, man, like
private workouts are better, man. I mean, you get better. I just think private workouts plus candidate exposure to COVID too. You want less exposure. You want to be able to have a most controlled atmosphere that you want as possible. I mean, these are any type of mulligan you have. You ain't no mulligans in these appearances. If you mess up in these combines, then you'll start dropping suspect, and you're in damage control. So these kids are getting these young men are getting good advice as far as when to participate, when not to participate, and let that tape speak for itself too. Get back to old school with what Youngin talk about. Youngin old school about to get that tape. What happened to tape? So You know, again,
Yeah,
we have
but
you
some,
brought you
some
young,
will
but
choose.
you
But
know
so
Mike
some,
Mamula. You know Mike Mamula.
yeah.
I mean, you know that. I mean, the workout wonder. We had too many Mike Mamulas out there. Mm-mm.
And
So go ahead.
yeah,
Go
to
ahead.
piggyback off of what Carl said, I saw something on Twitter about the top 40 times at the combine of all time. And there was literally like out of all the top times, like there are only one player that was a really impactful player in the NFL. Like it was just CJ2K, like Chris Johnson. The rest of them were like your JJ Nelsons, your Dree Archers, your John Ross, players that they you always have that like that thought of like, oh, we can, this dude runs 4.24, 4.25. We gonna find a way to get the ball in his hands and make something happen, but it usually doesn't turn out that way because there's a lot more. Because you got to realize there's a lot more to football than just running fast and jumping high.
Yeah.
But that's just going to what Carl's saying here.
Yeah. So someone's gonna attend, and stock's gonna go up, and they're gonna end up playing. Do you have players that you're looking to watch perform in this newly defined bubble called the combine? Anybody you're looking forward to?
Yeah, Dax Hill for sure. Dax Hill, safety from Michigan. He's a super athlete. I think when people see like how fast he is and how explosive he is, I think he's going to rise up on some boards. Even though safeties usually don't go too high in the draft. Like the closer we get to the draft, when people's mock drafts come out, you're going to hear more and more about positional value, stuff like that. So some guys will just drop just off of that, but I think he's going to be a big riser.
I was just looking up some things as I was Treylon Burke? They're saying it could be the next Debo.
He's really
that's
good.
Debo.
Yeah, that's
I'm like that's
Yep.
people like to do that, but that's a big jump. Debo is Debo.
Yeah, but Debo came out. Nobody. Wow, I say nobody projected him, but I mean, the way he was used.
There were guys that like Debo coming up.
But not they didn't think he'd be used like a hybrid player where he's running the ball in the eye and he's catching the ball. It's amazing how they use him in San Francisco.
He's running between the tackles. He look like Paul Hornung. He like the modern day Paul Hornung.
yeah.
In that way. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, you're right. The nature of this is changing. I know the Badgers have their pro day coming up next week. The nature of how this is, and like you're saying, Hammer, you mentioned like these athletes, and I think it's not as much of the Mike Mamula fear because I think the NFL teams have gotten better at kind of teasing that stuff out. But I think these athletes have gotten better prepared for how to navigate this, which makes it more difficult for they're controlling more of how you're going to watch them in a way, because of just all the things you experience, and so, leveraging the pro days in different ways, creating other ways, really being clear about what stuff you're going to do, when and where, like that way they set these things up. And so,
control the narrative.
It makes it much more work for, this was set up, coming out of what the Tex was doing, coming out of the Cowboys and all this stuff. It all started out in that whole kind of thing, and then created this whole idea around, the combine. I think we kind of swung the pendulum too far that we're gonna be measuring people's hands and doing all this other stuff. And certain organizations have gotten good at what I said, that a part of data analysis is the qualitative data. Like, we spend a lot of time talking about quantitative data, but the best organizations have a mixed method in ways in which it's understanding that it's just not science, it's also art. And those folks get that. And so, but then at the same time, the players have got more sophisticated. Their team, their representation have got more sophisticated. So this is great. This is some interesting kind of periods going on.
And another name I want to throw in there, Ike Ekwonu. I think everybody, Ike Ekwonu's at the top of everybody's boards. He's going top 10 at everybody's board. But I think I don't think he's going to be a big riser. But as far as guys that I'm looking for, like, I really like watching the linemen work out in the combine, because you see, like, dang, these dudes are like 320, 300 pounds, and they move like the wind. Like, this is crazy. Like, they get, like, remember watching like Mekhi Becton and your guy, god dang, what's his name? Oh, Tristan Wirfs. Tristan Wirfs blew up the combine. It's like, man, that's something I'm looking forward to. That's why I was surprised Evan Neal's not working out. I'm like, Evan Neal would kill the combine.
He gonna wait to Tuscaloosa, man. That pro day, the control pro day. It's not worth the risk now, especially you want to limit your exposure with COVID, with everything. I mean, you want to control your narrative too. Look at Jamison Williams. My understanding, he's about 6 weeks ahead of schedule now as far as ACL. He's putting a good narrative where he's going to get drafted higher he probably would have before it. And because he's controlling the narrative, and people are looking at the fact that, you might have a redshirt year, first year, and then you get that 5th year contract, you're good. But he's gonna plug and play and be a nice player.
So as for Jamison, that's a topic that I was thinking about. With Jamison Williams, like, he had a great year at Alabama. Like, he proved his talent level. Like, he always could play. But how do we get from? I know before he's not the number one consensus receiver right now, but before he got hurt,
Garrett Wilson,
Garrett
Wilson is the guy who made him transfer.
No, because really, depends on who you listen to. Most people are saying Drake London, really, but
Drake's up there, but
at the same time, Garrett Wilson, I still believe Chris Olave is better than Garrett Wilson.
Olave is gonna drop. Watch, man. He's not gonna grade. He's the one that's gonna get hurt by the metrics.
Here we go.
That's why he didn't get
this. Hammer's receiver bias coming in.
I'll say, what metrics are you talking about?
Man, I'm talking about 40 other things, but also I do want him to slip too. You know why I want him to slip? I want to slip the second round for another reason.
This is bias speaking, but
I like Buckeyes to slip. I like Buckeyes to slip. Because it become Bears.
Everybody that I've heard from, everybody I talked to from Ohio State, everybody says that Chris Olave is faster than Garrett Wilson. So when they go to the 40, when they run the 40, I guarantee you Chris Olave is gonna run fast. He's gonna run in the 4.3s. He might be low 4.3s, but he gonna run fast. But how do we go from you had Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Jamison Williams, and Jamison Williams is 4th, and now Jamison Williams is the number 1 receiver in the whole country. I think it's more to do with opportunity, because
it's always opportunity.
System too.
Now that we're going into the draft, I still think Chris Olave. Well, they're different types of receivers. I want to get that out of it. They're different types of receivers, but I still think Chris Olave is a better receiver than Jamison Williams.
I think the receiving selection for you has got to come down to what you're trying to get done.
Yeah.
And what system you're trying to run. And I mean, the receiving part is that selection has more to do with what you're trying to do from a system standpoint. And so that will dictate value, but just because somebody goes ahead of someone else doesn't mean they're better. They might be a better fit for that system. And I think that's really important when it comes to receivers. And that's one of the things I look at that versus other positions, regardless of what system you play, that person's gonna have an impact.
Yeah.
Right.
But, we're living in this day and age now where this is what I was going to get into. Everybody, everybody's looking into the player comps, right? Like Bryce Young, when he comes out, he's going to go high. Joe Burrow he went high. But
Caleb Williams gonna go high.
15 years ago, the quarterbacks that weren't 6'5", you know what I'm saying, there was a knock on them, you know what I'm saying. But Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, they kind of broke that mold. So now everybody, it's more acceptable. But as far as receivers, the comp is like, who's gonna be the next Tyreek Hill? Who's the guy that's gonna he's just too fast for everybody, you know what I'm saying? And we year after year you get Henry Ruggs. The guys who run the fastest are the guys that go the highest in the draft, really, because everybody's looking for their Tyreek Hill. And I still look at this is more of my bias. Because I tend to look at other things when I look at receivers, and that's really where my basis comes from with this Olave versus Jamison Williams thing. Because Jamison Williams, I think a lot of people looking at him saying, "Oh, this dude is a speedster, fully healthy. He probably runs high 4.2s, maybe 4.29, maybe 4.31, something like that." So he's a guy that he's burning rubber on the track. So they're looking for the guy to take the top off. But I think Chris Olave just gives you more, just in different aspects, like from route running perspective, and he can do more things in my opinion.
Yeah, and you also got your feel for, which is you're not going to sometimes, is the grittiness, competitiveness, the what makes Debo so fascinating is not just all his physical gifts, but ultra competitive. Like I'm gonna get after it, and some of that's the part you got to get a sense of when you get past all the numbers. Do they got dog in them? Because that part can't be measured, and you got to be able to get that sense of that competitiveness. And I always been impressed with Ozzie Newsome's ability to also get that right. Or some of the GMs who get that part right. They only get the right player with the right fit, but they also get the player that fits a personality. Like he's like, that's a Steeler. That's a Raven. Right? That's like Debo's a 49er. Like, yeah, that is what we might think a 49er. It feels like, plays like, competes like, right?
Yeah.
And that part, I wonder why certain GMs and folks get that part in addition to the numbers. That make sense?
Yeah, in a different position, but that guy in this draft is Nakobe Dean. Like you look at he might not have the prototypical size and stuff for a linebacker. You might look at Devin Lloyd and Leo Chanel. They might be more prototypically sized linebackers, but man, Nakobe Dean has that something extra, like that intangible, like the qualitative data that you're saying, like he has that in spades, and I think he's that guy that you look at and you're saying, man, he has that extra competitiveness that can take us to victory.
Yeah, and so that's why it takes you can't lose sight of the game film. You can't lose sight of some of these other things. You gotta have a balanced diet of those things as you're trying to find the right person that's a fit for your organization and your culture. And so, so I'm excited. We'll get closer to the playoffs. Out to the draft.
Yeah.
But we'll get
playoffs too.
Here. We're still trying to work on how we want to approach this, huh?
Playoffs too. Shoot.
And playoffs.
Give me a playoff like we did this year, man. That was the best playoff, man. Every game, 3 points. I was like, is Vegas telling? Man, I'm like, man, ain't no blowouts on the first. That was the best playoff I've seen, man.
Yeah.
Super Bowl was amazing. drama, man.
Yeah.
So what's up? I have another question. So what's up with baseball? Like, I said this in the group chat.
What's up with baseball?
Is baseball gonna go the way of boxing to where it's gonna be the America's forgotten pastime?
No.
You're gonna start seeing baseball games on ESPN Plus.
No, because you're underestimating the young. I think Latinx population is gonna that change the demographics and help baseball. But the problem is baseball is relying too much on these demographics that are fading, which is old white males, and they have to change the game to make it more appeling.
But to play devil's advocate, that was the same thing that happened with boxing. That's what ran HBO out of business. The people that drive the sport, as far as the fans are going, and the viewership, the demographics is it's the Latinx population and the blacks, right? The African Americans.
Well,
HBO started marketing towards more Eastern of the Eastern Europeans and the Russian fighters.
Klitschko's.
That wasn't what people came to see, and they end up losing revenue. You know what I'm saying? And they end up having to shut it down.
I think baseball's challenge is particularly with the increase of Latinx community in baseball, they're not accepting and bringing in the vibrant atmosphere created when you see like the World Baseball competition in those communities. It's like a party. And
because you can't afford those tickets, man. You've been to a baseball game?
What?
You can't afford those tickets.
Yeah, but there's some elements that they've tried to push down in terms of the cultural dynamics that Latin players bring that to me brings the kind of energy you see in other sports. When you watch that kind of World Baseball tournament and you watch the Dominican Republic play against folks, man, that atmosphere, I'm like, put me in that atmosphere. Like, that is a celebration. And it's like, if the NBA wouldn't miss that opportunity. Like, the NBA would miss that energy. Baseball can't get out of their way to get to that. Like, that is right there. That's the future of baseball. That energy, that environment, they just can't find a way there because they got this mad cultural clash.
And they got poor marketing too. I mean, like
yeah, that too.
When Mike Trout can walk down Michigan Avenue and nobody would say a word, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Where I'll never forget. I was younger than Darnell, but I was about maybe 20 something. I saw Ricky Henderson and Dave Stewart walk down the street. Now I'm like, first of all, I looked at them. I'm like, dang, they big. I didn't realize they were that big, man. I mean, these cats, they were bursting out of their shirts, man. And I saw them walking down Michigan Avenue toward Water Tower, and you knew who they were. That's when you knew baseball was its peak, man. And you were excited. People were excited. They were following them. People were like, that's Ricky. That's Ricky.
But
man,
but that's where analytics.
If Clayton Kershaw walked down Michigan Avenue, they'd be like, so what?
But that's where analytics cost you because people are managing. So one of the points they were making in because baseball players aren't just going after the money, they're going after the way the game is played. It's hard to have a pitcher being featured when you're you got teams who are starting relievers in the beginning and running all these different rotations or only have their starter in for three. Like, the analytics are driving the game so much when you got pitchers who are competitors. Like, yes, we're gonna be here for 6 innings. So the MIT types, the cats who couldn't play but wish they could, who controlling the game, take away some of that part as well. They're managing it, right, in a way that those personalities aren't flourishing in addition to that. So the role that analytics has played, and I love data, but the role is played in the way baseball applies it. Like, people are playing a video game where people are losing instincts. Also feeds into your ability to manage. And you got these great personalities. You're right. Like, Trout should be on the front of everything, First of all, you got to get him out of Anaheim. But see, the NBA would have worked that one already.
Right. And you brought up the perfect name, Ricky Henderson, right?
Yeah, Ricky.
Well, I don't watch baseball anymore, but growing up, baseball was my first sport. So like Ricky Henderson, I was a big Ricky Henderson fan. But
man, bro, you talking like you 40 years old, man.
No, Ricky Henderson retired in 03. He retired in 03.
I know.
No, I was watching baseball when I was very young. When I say young, I was like 5 years. But like
your parents trained you right, man. That's
good. My dad was a baseball player. Yeah, but
he's not anymore, is he? Not anymore, is he?
Well, of course not.
He don't watch it anymore, does he? Well, because the Tigers are terrible, right? Yeah.
But what I was getting into about the Ricky Henderson thing was if Ricky Henderson was coming up today, growing up today, Ricky Henderson would be a running back.
Yeah, no, he'd be a receiver. He'd be a receiver. He would be a running back. He'd be a receiver.
He was 5'10".
He'd be a receiver, dude.
5'11".
He'd be like Tyreek Hill, bro.
They'll put some weight on him, and he'll be. Yeah, he could be Tyreek Hill. He'd be
a receiver, dude. He'd be a receiver. Nobody want to be no running back now.
Yeah, well, Dave Winfield was a multiple sport person.
Yeah, 3 sports, man. Basketball, baseball, and football.
Yeah,
that brother can ball, man.
But he wouldn't have chose baseball if he came up today. That's what I'm saying about baseball is starting to fade away.
Yeah, when they lost Kyler, when Kyler Murray made that decision, that made me show baseball was in trouble because you look at all the analytics, you'd rather you're the 5th pick in the MLB draft out of college, and you gonna take football? I was just stunned, man. I was like, you gonna take football?
He was the first pick in football, right?
Be 1 hit away. I mean, you 1 hit away in football, man. Let's be real. 1 hit away. You 1 Joe Theismann away, 1 Alex Smith away. Yeah. Everyone's quiet now. You know I'm telling the truth. but baseball.
That's that long money over there in baseball.
You ain't won like, Randy Johnson pitch away from. I mean, they ain't throwing at people like they used to now. I mean, Randy Johnson, you probably seen that. I mean, I was afraid we killed that bird.
He hit the bird.
He hit the bird, man. That's what I said. That was the ultimate mind game. That's where people were just like, because you know what happened in the All-Star game? He threw it John Kruk. You know the story?
Yeah.
You know what John Kruk was, right?
Yeah.
You know what John Kruk was? Yeah. Mm-hmm. He threw it John Kruk and missed him. John Kruk said he couldn't control his body anymore. He was shaking so much that that he struck out, man. He could not control his body. Like literally his body went in shock. Because Randy Johnson was throwing 100 miles an hour, man. 6'10". Yep. I mean, so that do hit you out cold.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, y'all, it's not unusual at the intersection between, global conflict or war or potential war in sports. And we definitely are seeing that in the Ukraine with our feature, especially our boxing community and the number of, whether it's the Klitschko's or whatever, the Klitschko's and folks, on the front lines, Lomachenko. You start to see the reaction from to Russian players who are playing hockey by fans because of decisions being made by home countries. There's a lot going on swirling here in the UK, man, and really, tough situation, all together. But I know, Darnell, you were talking about some things happening with the sanctioning body. I've been paying attention to that.
I gotta jump in here because the sanctioning bodies have levied their own sanctions against the Russians in the sport of boxing. Mm-hmm. The WBA, the WBC, and the IBF have all agreed that they're not going to sanction any fights from any fighters that are from Russia or any fights that are in Russia. Both that are in Russia or fighters that are from Russia, except for one sanctioning body. You know what the other sanctioning body is? The WBA. And you know why that is? Because there's a fight coming up. Canelo Alvarez versus Bivol, and Bivol's from Russia, and they're going to sell that belt away. They're going to sell that belt away to Canelo. And that just showed Canelo, he run boxing. Like not even Russia versus Ukraine can stop Canelo.
Canelo's gonna get his money. That's an interesting dynamic because these Russian athletes, and some of them live in the U.S., right? Didn't make that decision, right? Now I understand not sanctioning fights in Russia, right? I understand not sanctioning fights promoted by Russian promoters. I understand all that, but it's interesting that the athletes here, who many of them had nothing to do with the decision, they've been here. Many of them probably have been living in the United States competing.
Dude, none of them had nothing to do with the decision.
That's what I'm saying. So it's interesting that there's a sanction against the boxers. I understand not sanctioning fights, right? Like that part makes sense, but that's an interesting dynamic. You know what I'm saying? It's an interesting dynamic.
It's going to affect Beterbiev, right? Beterbiev, he has a fight coming up as well.
Yeah.
And if that fight doesn't get sanctioned, he could,
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling different. It's interesting how I'm reacting to that. Like I said, I understand. I agree with don't sanction any fights that are happening in Russia, fights that might be promoted by Russian promoters. All of that makes sense from a, business sense, and even as part of the global effort to implement economic sanctions. That all makes sense. But, a lot of these boxers and other athletes have been living in Miami, basically living in the States, connected to their country for a number of reasons. That's an interesting thing that they would come down that way with it. But, that's boxing. But boxing's so hypocritical in so many other ways. It's like I can't even take them serious about that. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably why I'm not trusting them.
It was so funny that when I saw that the WBA wasn't going to join everybody else, that's like, you know what, we got Canelo. We got to get our money. We got to.
WBA's like we'll join you in a few months. We're gonna sit out this.
One of the biggest cities toppled today in Ukraine. It's getting bad, man. So, David and Goliath can only fight so long, man. That's a story. Man. Yeah, so it's ugly, man. So Putin ain't playing, dude. Yeah, so and gas rising, man. I don't know about you. So 420 around here. I'm like, man.
It's 3-something over here. They making me think. I'm like, can we go remote? Can we go remote?
420. 420. Well,
where?
Huh?
You in Chicago, bro. You got 420, bro, in Chicago.
But you got the perfect car for Chicago. Tell her you got the pre.
Yeah, I do. I got that.
So you got the perfect car for Chicago now.
I got for Wisconsin. I'm cheap.
I know.
I'm cheap, bro. I'm cheap. So I'm cheap, man. I'm cheap. Shoot, man. But yeah, I filled my tank the other day. That hurt, man. I was like, but then I look at that 50 miles a gallon. I just smile. I'm like, yeah, I'm still winning. Shoot. Yeah, like when Biden said yesterday, like, don't worry about gas. Like, I ain't worried, Mr. President. I got it higher. I ain't worried. Shoot. Yeah, you need to work.
Trade mine in for free. I just got transportation. Don't make me. We all about holding on to this dollar. We trying to get it to circulate. We on this other thing. All right. Well, we're gonna drop the mic here right now. Hammer, take us out. What you got? What you want to say here as we drop the mic?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the Badgers. 10 in the preseason, dissing us, talking about our, let's just be real, putting us down because we have mostly white players. And what do? We beat Purdue. And I know the haters gonna say Purdue beat themselves. No. Give us some credit. We beat Purdue. We beat Purdue. We beat Treylon Williams. We beat Jaden Ivey, Matt Gillis. Give Garrett Grimes his props, and also give him his props because this is a guy that was almost taken out by one of his own staff last year. Remember that? Orlando Tucker tried to take this guy out. Thought that, I won't mention names, but thought that a certain AD candidate was going to hire him as the head coach of basketball because of this myth, because we're too white. We have too many white players. No. we're disciplined, and our best player is black, a brother. Johnny Davis is going to be a high draft pick. So, on the bottom line, and then Chucky Hepburn, who's black from Omaha. So again, give us some respect. I'm like, baby, give us some respect. All right, give us some respect.
All right, we'll give you some respect.
A long run in the NCAA tournament. Trust me, a long run.
We like Johnny. We had a chance to see him up close and personal. I had a chance to introduce Johnny in terms of bringing him onto the scene for the Youngin, and Youngin been riding him. He riding him all. Hopefully, even the Pistons are going to take Johnny. So we are here, and Chucky. We could see the glimpse of Chucky, and I would say that Wall's growth. I'm going to add to your point. Happened. We saw what happened when he woke up. We saw him against Houston in the Mile Invitational, and that Mile Invitational was like his entry into this whole run and coming into confidence, because he had been underperforming up until that point and he's finding his game. So yeah, we Wisconsin they find it now, especially with the point guard play. All right, Youngin.
All right, so I gotta reiterate with my drop them. I gotta reiterate with the title. The Youngins are ready, and the Youngins are here. And a name I forgot that's really been making noise is Tyrese Maxey. Like Tyrese Maxey, he is
some respect on his name.
Perfect. He balling.
He is the perfect third guy to Philly. He's really stepping into the role where Tobias Harris was supposed to be, but he can really because James Harden and Embiid, obviously they garner a lot of attention, and he can knock down shots when he's open. He can really attack the closeout and make good decisions, because he's a guard himself. So now he's making decisions, and he makes the team extremely hard to stop. And yeah, that's really my theme for this drop the mic. The Youngins are coming, and the Youngins are here. And shout out to Isaiah Thomas. Shout out to Isaiah Thomas for defending the youngin Giannis against one of the bitter old heads, and Charles Oakley, because Oakley was talking crazy. Oakley was saying that Oakley said that Giannis would come off the bench if he was playing in the 90s. He said they'll make him shoot and he wouldn't be able to go to the rim. Like, man, come on now. Let's go back.
That's why Charles ain't got no ring, bro.
Go back and watch a game.
That's a loser mentality. That's why we traded him from Chicago. That's why he ain't got no ring. That's why Jim Dolan put him out of the Madison Square Garden. He shouldn't even be Madison Square Garden. No guard.
Let me take the mic. I'm gonna say this. I know it was some crazy stuff, but I went to the NBA All-Star Weekend way back in the day. I think it was 92 or something like that. And one of the nicest people we ran into in that weekend, there was a lot of good people we ran into, was Charles Oakley. That cat was nice. He didn't have to be. He didn't know who we were. And but even nice folks say some stuff they shouldn't be saying. They can be the old people trying to get off their line. And I'm glad, Zeke and them had to come and set the record straight. So, we all got to be there. We all got to be able to get that stuff right. All right. What I got to say, the title of this, because we was talking about the Ukraine, a whole bunch is going on. Youngins are coming out. The title of this podcast is "What's Going On." The old Marvin Gaye, like he said it when we had some turmoil going on. You had a whole bunch of stuff going on, but always in the midst of that, there was always something that was great happening. And when I thought about today, with everything going on, the thing we almost missed is the 60th anniversary of Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100 points. It just reminded me that there's a record book and then there's the Wilt book. Like, there's a record book and there's a Wilt book. Like, it's like everything else. And to think about, Kobe hit 81, Devin hit 70, but 70, to hit 100 on folks, to average the kind of points he averaged. People forget how great a volleyball player Wilt was. They forget what he was able to do as a track athlete. Like, there is, you talk about never seeing something again. We could probably safely say we'll never see. I love when I watch Embiid. I think about all that stuff, but you got to think about is Embiid the best one of the best volleyball players in the world? Wilt was, right? It's just amazing person, and 60-year anniversary of scoring 100 points. On a day that we're trying to honor the youngins, we want to say something about the cat who helped to set the mold for us. So let's reflect a little bit on that on Wilt, and we'll drop the mic. Until next time, for my man the youngin, for the hammer, this is RSG ONE MIC. Please go to Real Sports Guys on all our other platforms. Check us out. We look forward. Please give us that 5, or as Bomani Jones said, you just hating.
Something we all understand: the revolution will be televised.
Yes, today, as we start the show, this one mic. Yes, today, as we start the show, this one mic.
The Chi-Town Hammers. Chi-Town Hammers.
Something.
People have slept on. I only get political here about Will.
He's playing the game. That's all it is. Go hard for it. Look at the business.
Yes, today.